Hey everyone, it's Bio Productions and welcome to a Minecraft discussion video. In this video, I'm going to talk about trees, and specifically your thoughts on my last Minecraft video where I discussed Minecraft's need for 17 types of wood to match the 17 usual colors of blocks in the game. But first of all, thank you very much to everyone who watched the first video. It has over 100,000 views right now, which is far and away millions of miles beyond where I thought it would get. I thought maybe a few thousand at most, but that was a lot of views and it's still going up. So thank you very much to everyone who watched that. And I did try to read nearly all the comments, but there's like 600 at this point, so at some point I had to call it quits. But I'm going to go through in this video some of the top comments and some others that caught my eye, and to see what kind of ideas you have all had for filling out the color spectrum for Minecraft wood. And I'm going to keep track of the suggestions to see what kind of list we come up with by the end. So let's get right into it. And the first comment, top comment, comes from MineFan7, who says that dried coarse fruit would make an interesting addition as an access point for purple wood. Yes. Fate's End then says, no, to be serious, it is an interesting idea, but the replies to this comment kind of show that there isn't a good way to implement it, and there are better alternatives to get purple wood from the end, either by crafting regular chorus fruit together, or using chorus stems, or straight up adding a different kind of chorus plant to the end that directly provides wood. My issue with adding stuff like wood to the end, primarily, is that it can diminish the challenge and identity of the end as a dimension. Right now, there isn't a good way to get wood in the end, which makes crafting basically impossible. The only way to get gear is to take on end cities, which is incredibly difficult without armor or water bucket, etc. It can be done, but it's a challenge. Adding a wood source to the end makes it a lot easier to survive in, same with how the Nether is now after the 1.16 update. But the end is supposed to represent a barren, nearly lifeless alien world of eternal darkness floating in the void, a horrorscape that really gives off the feeling that the end portal took you to the end of time, when the rest of Minecraft had been destroyed and nothing remains in the emptiness but these few strange mobs and plants, lorded over by the biggest and loudest mob in the game, guarding your only path to escaping back to the blissful brightness and liveliness of the past, the overworld. Making the end livable really kills that atmosphere for me. That's not to say we don't need an end update. There's a lot that Mojang can do to make the end more interesting to explore while retaining that alien feel to it. Adding some kind of purple wood source that's hard to break, or as Greg Calvin suggests, can only be mined by specific tools, is doable. It just has to be done tactfully. Anyways, before I keep rambling, let's move on to this comment by Fate's End, who says that olive trees could be an interesting take for stylized green wood in an olive green tone, since real cherry blossoms don't come from trees with pink wood anyway. And olive could work well for a darkish green wood, and maybe olives could be added to them, and they could be like a source of green dye or something. So we'll mark that down as one idea. Then there's this comment by Jonathan Gallup, who says that I think Mojang is actually trying to add all colors of wood. Also, the reason for petrified oak slabs is because in old versions, wooden slabs were just retextured cobblestone slabs, and they didn't want to ruin old builds, so they just made the old slabs into a separate block, which is true. They could just rename the petrified wooden slabs if they wanted to make petrified wood a whole wood set, and they just call it something different. So that's a possibility. Moving on to Mr. Shark Studios' comment, black wood would probably be ebony. Also, since Minecraft is a fantasy game, there are a lot of things you can do with green/blue wood, as they already have shown with Crimson and Warped Hyphae. Yes, I didn't think of ebony, so if we don't get a volcano biome, that'd be my nominee for black, so we'll mark that one down. Next is Professor Bunny's comment, who says, interesting idea. I wouldn't be surprised if Mojang has noticed this trend and is intentionally working towards it. If so, they definitely have a lot of options. If they add an ether type dimension, a light blue tree would probably be a fitting inclusion to it. I actually love to see some kind of volcanic overworld biome, and putting in a burnt tree just makes sense. It could be a naturally spawning source of charcoal as well as black wood. Yeah, light blue trees would fit in an ether type biome or dimension. If we did get one, bearing in mind that Mojang likely won't add the ether mod that by King Bee Dogs that everyone watching this video is thinking about right now, they'll probably do something else. As for the volcano biome being a source of charcoal, that is a fantastic idea. You can even go one further and call the blackwood type charcoal. You get charcoal logs, charcoal stairs, slabs, etc. The bark block could then just be the charcoal block, which is crafted from 9 charcoal like the coal block. So that would provide renewability since a charcoal tree wouldn't have leaves that drop saplings. That's an idea. So we'll put that on the list for black. Moving on then, Ace Plenty, I don't know if I pronounced that right, says something similar with different mechanics that are actually kind of interesting for how you get burnt blocks, which is interesting. As for gray wood, I think a good name would be withered wood, and yeah, volcano biome was exactly what I was thinking. And withered is definitely a good name for a wood that is still regular wood and not charcoal. You can actually add withered as a gray oak type kind of thing, and have those spawn in mesa biomes instead of regular oak, just to provide more visual interest to the mesa or badlands biomes. For light green, definitely azalea. It doesn't have to be realistic. Okay, as for azalea, I'm going to move on to this comment from UFJ, who said mangrove wood at first had realistic color, but it was too similar to jungle, and then it was changed to red. So I don't think that it matters that much if azalea would be unrealistically green. And this remark seemed to make up nearly half of all the comments, so I'll just say it. Okay, yes, Minecraft isn't very realistic, so it's fine that azalea wood isn't green in real life. I'm not opposed to the idea of having azalea be green wood. In fact, it's a perfectly fine idea, and I'll add it to the list for good measure. I just think that since azalea is already in the game, the opportunity exists to add a new type of tree instead with a unique type of green wood. Like, for example, this option by AK5, who says green wood could be the Palo Verde tree, which its trunk is completely green. And I like this idea a lot. I've never heard of Palo Verde trees before, but if you look them up, they actually have quite a cool look, with yellow leaves and green bark. Another idea I quite like is by William Schultz, who says, I think swamp trees need to replace oak with willow wood and make that wood green. And yes, giving swamps a unique type of wood would be great. I know there's mangroves, but they're technically in a sub-biome of swamps now, and the main swamp biome is still just oak. There are a bunch of different kinds of willow tree out there. Personally, I prefer to see weeping willow get added, as it is quite striking to look at, but I'm not certain how that could be best implemented into Minecraft. Anyways, this comment from Velvet lists a bunch of good suggestions. I just want to single out jacaranda as a great candidate for purple. Holly for white is interesting as well, and I'll get to palm in a bit. Meanwhile, there's this comment from Jaska asking, what about regular bamboo, like the non-stripped? That's green, which is a sentiment a lot of people share. It was probably the second most common thought in the comments after the whole azalea thing. The thing is though, bamboo blocks aren't a wood type. Bamboo wood is, and so is bamboo planks. If you will, bamboo blocks are basically the log variant of bamboo wood, filling the same role as oak logs do for oak wood. Just like the logs, they even have a stripped version. So they're not really a good candidate for a green wood type. They're just a good green block, and sure, you could use that as a green wood in your builds, no one's going to stop you, but giving it all the usual wood variants wouldn't really work. Plus it'd be redundant since the texture is going to be so similar to bamboo planks. Furthermore, as Goylian van Rixel, whose name I've probably just butchered, points out, wood comes from trees and bushes. This means bamboo wood is not technically wood because bamboo is not a tree or bush and is closer related to grass. Yes, bamboo is grass. So, although yes, that's the realism argument again here, bamboo already has two wood types to its name, which is more than any other actual wood. So I say let's be done with bamboo, and let's be done talking about green wood for now altogether. So next we have Holy Ravioli, who says for a lavender gray-esque wood, ash is probably a good choice. Not the most realistic, but neither is pink cherry wood, and the purpley gray ash color scheme is well established in fantasy. Same with ebony for black. And I agree, ash would be great for a lightish gray wood. It would probably rule out withered wood by being too similar in color though. But we'll add it to the list. Next is Captain Crooked's comment, who listed a bunch of different possibilities, including holly again, ebony again, and purple heart trees, which is a type of tree that is naturally purple, though depending on how it's treated and dried it will turn brown. Mojang can take some liberty and just have them retain the purple. Also poplar, naturally the wood from a poplar tree is very pale green. Mojang could exaggerate the green. Vered wood would also work for green. Again, some exaggeration of the color would be acceptable. And as for blue, there is the blue maho tree, which looks basically gray, so Mojang could have to assign a fake blue hue, or they make up fake tree species. First of all, purple heart. A couple people mentioned it in the comments, and I never heard of this before either, but my goodness is it beautiful. It's actually straight up purple inside when freshly cut. and it grows in Central and South America. So if we left Vera wood out, this would be a perfect candidate for a jungle update. Honestly, I've read some good ideas so far in this video, but purple heart is the first one that I absolutely want added to the game. It provides a new, different, striking wood color. It can really enhance the jungle biome, and unlike green azalea, its color in-game would still be realistic. It's perfect. Put that on the list. Now that aside, poplar is also a good suggestion, but it's for green again. Blech. Moving on. Blue moho is interesting, but yeah, it's a pretty uninteresting color. A gray-blue hue could be okay, but I think I'd rather have a fictional tree fill this color spot. And Gabez has just such an idea. If we get a new dimension related to the Ancient Cities portal, the blue wood could come from there. I mean, the Warden and the Ancient Cities have this bluish color palette, so maybe the new dimension could have the same palette. Now, this does entirely depend on whatever the Ancient City portal leads to when its functionality eventually gets added, but you're right, a new dimension opens new possibilities. And speaking of possibilities, LaserCraft32 says having a rare ancient sapling that the sniffer can find would be a great opportunity to add more fantasy-colored wood types like blue or green. And yes, this is a great idea. Having the sniffer dig up a bunch of different kinds of plants would be cool. Honestly, the sniffer's excavations are like chest loot. More stuff can be added to the loot table in future updates. This is one idea I had that didn't make it into my initial video, but basically for all these new tree ideas we've got, Mojang can simply update existing biomes to contain them, like how forests were updated to contain both birch and oak rather than just oak. For existing worlds to get these new trees then, just make it so the sniffer can dig up saplings for the new trees in the old versions of the biomes they spawn in. For example, suppose poplar gets added to the taiga biome in 1.21 or whatever. The sniffer can just dig up poplar saplings in taiga biomes that were generated in, say, 1.19. Make it like a 40% drop rate against the torchflower and whatever else the sniffer can dig up. It's a good way to get new features in old worlds, and it makes the sniffer more useful and desirable. And speaking of future updates, Kieran Mason says that I would love to see a desert update with different desert biomes based on real deserts. Maybe an outback themed biome with red sand and desert oak, and an American Southwest themed desert with saguaros and mesquite trees. We kind of already have an outback-like biome with the Badlands, but a desert biome variant with red sand as opposed to regular sand and no terracotta could be good, either with a black oak type or maybe the withered gray wood from earlier. There's also this comment by Joey Kazooie who mentions the palm trees and baobab trees, which have already been confirmed as future tree types due to the biome votes. Funnily enough, I did forget about baobab trees being confirmed. I didn't forget palm though. I just see them as being more shades of brown though, although as the comment by Velvet mentioned, palm could be a yellowy shade and replace bamboo planks as the yellow wood type. For baobab, I think I'd prefer a light tan type color, something like a light oak, but not quite like birch. But yeah, we're definitely supposed to get these trees at some point. Whether their wood is unique is up to Mojang. And now for a few final comments. The first one is by the Milestone LP, who says, interesting ideas, but what if they wanted to then add another wood sometimes in the future? Then it would, even though you mentioned there might be way more normal colors by then, mess up the wood system by being the odd one out. I think more wood types would be a great addition, but shouldn't be classified into the color categories that are in the game. Rather, they're just different kinds and you are free to do with them what you want without being restricted to 16 or 17 types. And I'll answer that by reading Bob's comment here. After the 17 types of wood fill all the colors, I hope Mojang will still continue to make more. There's no reason why there has to be a limit. And he's absolutely right. While I think Minecraft should have a minimum of 17 wood colors to match the color system of the other blocks, there's no reason why more wood types can't be added beyond that. There are going to be multiple types of wood that technically match to the same color but still have different shades. Not a problem. I will, however, state that Mojang shouldn't go crazy with the number of trees in the game. Oversaturation is a real issue that will arise at some point in the future. Finally, there is this comment from Hiram Hill, which is a little off topic, but it did interest me. And it says that I'd want to see all the 16 Minecraft colors graphed in a variety of color spaces, such as RGB cubes or HSV cylinders. How are they spaced? Is it biased towards certain colors? Are there missing colors or redundant colors? Could the 16 colors be improved? Here's a quick mock-up of the colors for concrete in the old Microsoft Word standard colors hex grid. Not sure what color model this is. As you can see, the colors are fairly evenly spread. And for good measure, here's roughly where the different colors of Minecraft tree wood fit on this grid. Obviously, there's quite a bit of bias towards browns. So anyways, as the list shows, there are plenty of good ideas to fill out the color spectrum for wood, and then some. Of course, there's no telling whether Mojang will ever add any of these ideas to Minecraft, but hopefully, maybe, some of them will make it into the game one day. Anyways, that's all for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And what do you think? Do you still want bamboo blocks to get another wood type? Should the sniffer be a way to retroactively get new trees in old biomes? Whatever the case, leave a comment below, please consider subscribing, and above all, thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.